Tehran warns of regional conflict if the US attacks Iran. Partial reopening of Rafah border crossing begins, with people crossing expected on Monday. Search and recovery efforts continue in DRC's Rubaya region after mine collapse kills over 200 people. And in sports, it's a double delight for Ethiopia as Nibret Malak and Achinalu Desi claim victory at the 2026 Dubai Marathon. I'm Beatrice Marshall in Nairobi. Welcome to Africa Live. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has warned that any U.S. attack on Iran would spark a regional conflict. The country will hold a live fire drill through Monday in the Straits of Hormuz, the world's most important oil trade route. On Saturday, Tehran confirmed U.S. President Donald Trump's claim that Iran is negotiating with Washington. It also has designated all European Union militaries as terrorist groups after the EU listed Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. Isan Kivani has more from Tehran.
Despite the reports that claimed the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was protected in a secret place, we saw that on Saturday he visited the shrine of the late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini ahead of the anniversary of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Also on Sunday morning, he appeared in his residence and made a speech in front of people in his first reaction to the recent threats from the United States. He said the Americans sometimes talk about war, and this is nothing new. Ayatollah Khamenei said in the past, the Americans have repeatedly threatened Iran, saying all options are on the table, including the option of war. He emphasized that the Iranian nation should not be intimidated by such things. And in the most important part of his speech, the leader stressed that the Americans, in fact, should know that if they start a war this time, it will be a regional war. Ayatollah Khamenei added that the issue of confrontation between the United States and Iran for more than 4 decades can be summarized in 2 points. One, America wants to both swallow Iran, and two, the Iranian nation and the Islamic Republic stand in its way.
Israel has begun a partial reopening of Gaza's Rafah border crossing with Egypt, nearly 2 years since closing it, after capturing the crossing from Hamas. The move marks the start of the second phase of the U.S.-sponsored ceasefire agreement signed last October in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh. CGTN's Yasser Hakim reports from Al Arish on the Egyptian side of the border with Gaza.
The final procedures and logistical preparations are in place ahead of the long-awaiting reopening of the Rafah border crossing. A trial reopening on Sunday is focused on testing the mechanism for two-way movement of Palestinians between Gaza and Egypt. On the same day, the Palestinian Commission for the Administration of Gaza entered the territory to begin its mission. Meanwhile, dozens of injured Palestinians are crossing into Egypt to receive the medical treatment. Thousands have applied for permission to travel, but it remains unclear how many will be allowed to cross in either direction. Sources say the number could be limited to a few hundred people per day. Operations at the Rafah border crossing are being coordinated by an EU delegation, Palestinian officials, and Egyptian authorities, while Israel carries out a 3-stage security screening process for those entering Gaza. Rafah is a vital gateway for both people and humanitarian aid. It is Gaza's only outlet as the enclave faces a severe humanitarian crisis after more than 70,000 Palestinians have been killed over just more than 2 years of war. The partial reopening comes against the backdrop of renewed Israeli military escalation. Israeli strikes on Saturday killed dozens of Palestinians, most of them women and children. The attacks have drawn international condemnation, including from Egypt, which accused Tel Aviv of provocative actions that violate the ceasefire agreement and threaten to derail the US-led peace process. If anything, the opening of the Rafah border crossing cannot come any sooner for Palestinians as the acute crisis deepens and the death toll mounts every passing day. This is Yasser Hakim for CGTN in Al Arish city near the Rafah border crossing.
Even as the partial reopening of the Rafah crossing began, Israeli attacks continue in the Strip, with Gaza Civil Defense Agency reporting dozens of Palestinians killed in Israeli airstrikes on Saturday. Hamas has accused Israel of violating their ceasefire agreement again. Israel has killed hundreds of Palestinians since the truce was announced last October. Rami Al-Meghari reports from Khan Yunis in Gaza.
Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, the whole Gaza Strip, wake up today to 29 Palestinians killed, including many of them are women and children, and multiple airstrikes, Israeli airstrikes on different various locations in the Gaza Strip. We are here in one of the locations where an Israeli airstrike hit actually a tent in the Khan Yunis area of Mawasi in south of the territory, where 7 members of the same Hadayid family here in the Mawasi area of Khan Yunis were killed, including 2 fathers, their children, and actually their father, an elderly man. This is one of the deadliest Israeli airstrikes on the territory. Other airstrikes hit the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood in Gaza City, where a Hamas-run police station was hit, and 3 police women were killed, and other detainees also were killed, and others were injured. Another strike hit a home in the Abbas neighborhood in western Gaza City, where a woman and her 2 children were killed. Other strikes hit other parts of the territory, including sites and locations that Israel says belong to Hamas and the territory. And this situation comes against the backdrop of an Israeli army statement suggesting that 8 members of the armed resistance were reported to have gone out of an underground and tunnel, considering this as a breach of the ceasefire. Hamas, from its part, also considers Israeli actions in the territory today as also a breach of the ceasefire, and reflects Israel's unwillingness to go into the second phase of the ceasefire that is to begin on Sunday with the reopening of the Rafah crossing terminal. Rami Al-Meghari, CGTN, in Khan Yunis City, south of the Gaza Strip.
And to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where search and rescue efforts continue after a mine collapsed in Rubaya, some 60 kilometers northwest of Goma. According to an M23 rebel spokesperson, at least 200 people were killed, including women and children, and about 20 survivors were being treated at local health facilities. The incident occurred on Wednesday after heavy rains led to a landslide that gave way to the Colton mine under M23 control since 2024. According to the UN, Rubaya mines alone are estimated to account for about 15% of the global coltan supply, which is processed into tantalum for global electronics. The UN has estimated that close to 400,000 people have been forcibly displaced in Mozambique following catastrophic flooding. The number, it says, adds on to other displacements caused by conflict and previous extreme weather conditions. As a result of the catastrophes, the UN Refugee Agency says many families are experiencing their 3rd forced relocation in recent years. It warns that conditions for those displaced are severe and assistance remains insufficient due to the lack of basic services. Mozambique's Institute for Disaster Management and Risk Reduction says 103 people have died as a result of the heavy rains that began in mid-December. Aid agencies are now warning of cholera and other waterborne disease outbreaks, especially in displacement camps. The World Weather Attribution Group says climate change and La Nina have fueled such intense rainfall that some regions received over a year's rain in just days.
Close to 400,000 people have been forcibly displaced. It's another forced displacement crisis for Mozambique. Last year, in the last semester, 300,000 were already displaced by the armed conflict. You imagine what 700,000 newly displaced means for a country like Mozambique, whether it's the result of extreme weather events or whether it's the result of the armed conflict. People had to flee under chaotic conditions after sometimes staying days and days on the roof of their house, waiting for rescue operations.
To Ethiopia now, where the Tigray People's Liberation Front says it is ready to engage in any dialogue facilitated by the African Union days after fresh clashes erupted between local and federal forces in the northern Tigray region. The fighting has drawn concerns from the African Union, which called on all parties to exercise maximum restraint. The UN Secretary General on Saturday warned against escalation, saying the UN was ready to work with the African Union and regional partners to consolidate peace. But Ethiopia's federal army is yet to comment on the situation. Addis Ababa accuses the group of forging ties with neighboring Eritrea and actively preparing to wage war against Ethiopia. This comes 3 years after a peace deal that ended a civil war between the army and the TPLF. Let's now turn to Nigeria, where simmering tensions between farmers and herders or pastoralists are never far from boiling over. Thousands of people have died in clashes and conflict over the past 2 decades as both sides vie for an ever-decreasing amount of land and resources for reasons such as a rising population and climate change. The government has implemented some policies aimed at resolving the issue, but as Tese Makende tells us, its complexities mean it may take some time before they see any success.
Herder Lukman Adam is out with his cattle in search of pasture. Nearby are crop farmers who are watching him closely, making sure he doesn't try to move into their land. It's an age-old problem across central Nigeria and one which often turns bloody. When it comes to finding solutions, both sides feel they are being misunderstood and mistreated.
Both the government and farmers are against us. Even when farmers clearly go against us, we are always seen to be the problem. We can't continue like that. We must love ourselves if this country has to develop.
A lot of my relatives have been killed by herders. I relocated from Mango to this community. I had to lease this land to cultivate my crops. Let the herders adopt the same approach.
According to Nigeria's House of Representatives, more than 60,000 lives have been lost in the struggle since 2001. The problem is not only taking lives and ruining families, it has also reduced food cultivation, where suitable grazing land has been eroded.
There are both human factors and natural factors. A lot of arable lands where herders have to graze are no longer grazable because we have less land where you can get good grasses for them to graze, and they have to look for a place to graze. The type of herders we have in the country are people that move around. They don't ranch. We also have issues of migration.
In 2024, several communities saw increased conflict between crop farmers and cattle herders, leading to the deaths of over 400 people. Last year, cattle breeders in the country said over 4 million cattle belonging to them were rustled in the last 10 years and about 15,000 of their members killed. Agriculture experts say the government needs to introduce measures such as abolishing open grazing and introduce and enforce ranching, which according to them is the best practice globally.
We should value lives. That's another solution, which we should actually have a shift of ideology. You find in developed worlds, you hardly will see anyone grazing around, moving around, graze just because they want their animals to graze. They should buy into ranching.
The government says it is taking steps to resolve the issue. It has established a new Ministry for Livestock Development to oversee and manage the sector, introducing approaches that will mitigate crises between cattle herders and crop farmers. Authorities say they are putting together initiatives to introduce better breeds of cattle to herders, sustainable pasture cultivation procedures, and ranching against their nomadic lifestyles, which is prone to conflict. But it could take time before these measures take effect. Tessim Akende, CGTN Jos, Nigeria.
Africa's technology conversation is often louder on ambition than execution. At this year's Tech Revolution Africa in Lagos, there was a major effort to change that, as founders and technology companies showed how their solutions are already being deployed to solve real problems. CGTN's Deji Bademosi has more.
It's one of Africa's largest gatherings on tech, and it brings together stakeholders from across the world for a deep dive into how new technology is making a difference in Africa.
You're talking about 120 milliseconds.
From artificial intelligence and energy to data platforms, companies showcase how technology is already being applied to resolve real business and social challenges. Theme: The Big Bold Step. The real action at the second edition of Tech Revolution Africa unfolded on the exhibition floor, where founders and technology companies demonstrated how their products are being deployed in real-world environments. For many of them, innovation here is not theoretical, it's operational. One of those companies is Shopify, a Nigerian-founded platform focused on simplifying access to digital tools and services for businesses and individuals by bringing people together and allowing them pay a fraction of the original amount needed for a service. The company says its solution is designed to remove barriers, particularly cost and accessibility, that prevent many Africans from fully participating in the digital economy.
So the way it works is that I sign up on useshopify.com. That's USESUBIFY.com. When you sign up on useshopify.com, you see the split verse where all subscription services are available, irrespective of the subscription service you want. When you see any of these services, you fund your wallet, and then you click on Join Go. When you click on Join Go, the email invitation will be there for you. When you click on it, you join the subscription that you have available to join. Now, where I see this in the next five years is that I see us with strong African footprint. By the next 5 years, I expect us to be in 20 African countries.
Energy is another critical focus. At Our Power, the emphasis is on technology-driven smart home products designed to make living easier for people.
So we have our latest invention, which is called the Charge Power Bank Rental Station. So basically, it's a station that holds power banks. So you go there and you can rent a power bank on the go when you're outside of your living area. So each power bank has a GPS that tracks your movement, and also you have to pay refundable deposits. So that deposit serves like an insurance. So when you return the power bank, your deposit is returned back to you automatically in less than 5 minutes.
Liga Data, a data and analytics company, says its focus is on helping large organizations turn complex data into usable insight, particularly in sectors like telecommunications, banking, and government.
We are serving probably about 400 million customers in total today. We operate in about 35 countries, and proudly been operating in the African market for the last decade.
For these founders, Tech Revolution Africa is less about announcements and more about visibility, an opportunity to show how African-built solutions are already addressing African problems, one system at a time. Deji Bademosi, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.
In Kenya's fast-paced digital world, a platform once largely known for viral dances and short skits is now changing lives in very real ways. TikTok is increasingly becoming a space where desperation meets empathy and where ordinary Kenyans are stepping in to help strangers they have never met and may never meet. It is a story of online kindness, collective action, and how social media is quietly redefining community support in Kenya. CGTN's Enoxi Kolia reports.
It's a busy afternoon for Harriet Akinyi as she welcomes customers to her restaurant. The doors are wide open, the kitchen is alive, and the tables are full. Yet, just a few days ago, it was all very different. This place was on the brink of closure due to deaths and a poor footfall.
Oh, guys, I've tried holding it in.
With nowhere else to go, Harriet turned to TikTok with the hope of getting some support.
I made that video out of frustration and hopelessness because my situation had gotten to a point where it was hopeless. I could not afford to pay my employees. I could not afford to do quite a number of things or to run the business. I had run out of working capital completely. I didn't know that that was going to be my saving grace.
She didn't have to wait long. Within hours, her appeal had gone viral and support, emotional and financial, began to pour in. Even people who lived nearby came in. She says she wasn't surprised by the reaction.
That was the moment when Kenyans came through for me. God used Kenyans to come through for me, and I'm grateful for that, because now, as I am where I am right now, I'm no longer sending the business at 150,000 like I had mentioned before.
And yet stories like Harriet's are becoming increasingly common in Kenya. TikTok, once associated with dance challenges and comedy skits, is rapidly reshaping its identity here. Geoffrey Musiria, a chief officer at Nairobi City County Government, says the platform is now emerging as a powerful, decentralized tool for community fundraising and grassroots charity. Backed by his more than 1.8 million TikTok followers, Musiria says he has on several occasions successfully raised funds for people in need. He remembers how he helped generate more than $2,000 to aid a sick lady in need of medical care.
She couldn't walk. She used to go on long calls, short calls inside her room, single room, using a packet. But right now, she lives decently. She can walk. She has healed. It's a testimony.
Musiria says TikTok has changed how people help each other. In his own words, one doesn't need a big organization anymore.
It's how you use it. To me, I feel it's a resource that we can use to mobilize resources to help others.
Musiria is among many Kenyan TikTokers who use their platform to highlight needy cases, whether it's medical bills, school fees, or small businesses like Harriet's. In a time when social media is often criticized for creating division and spreading misinformation, platforms like TikTok are quietly shaping a different trajectory. Enoch Sikolia, CGTN.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
We begin your sport with some athletic news, where the Dubai Marathon once again delivered a double Ethiopian triumph. Nibret Mela claimed victory in the men's race, while Achinalu Desi crossed the line first in the women's category. The 25th edition of the marathon marked the fourth consecutive year that Ethiopian runners have swept both titles. Mela produced a remarkable performance in his marathon debut, clocking an impressive 2 hours and 4 minutes to win the Middle East's fastest marathon. His success also continued a striking trend, with the Dubai men's race now won by an Ethiopian debutant for the 6th year in a row. In the women's race, Desi extended her outstanding run of form, securing her third consecutive marathon victory. She posted a personal best time of 2 hours, 18 minutes and 31 seconds. Both winning times have been confirmed as world-leading marks for 2026. In the CAF Champions League, Congolese side St. Eloi Lupopo say they are not travelling to Algeria for tourism ahead of their Group C match on Sunday night, where they hope to get a positive result. MC Alger is still searching for its first win in the group, while Lupopo have already collected 4 points. Victory for the visitors could lift them into second place.
Ce sera un match assez difficile comme tous les matchs.
We are determined to respond well during this match because we know it is a very important game that will allow us to really take off in this competition. So we are not really making calculations. We have to take the 3 points. We must be ready in all aspects of the game. With our home crowd, we know we are capable of doing great things.
MC Alger is a good team. We are not even going to look at the standings because they remain a good team. Both teams know each other better now after our last game. So it's going to be a very good match. We must be focused, determined, and be brave.
In the English Premier League, substitute Benjamin Seko's emphatic stoppage time strike secured Manchester United head coach Michael Carrick a dramatic third consecutive victory as Fulham were edged out 3-2. United appeared to be cruising with Brazilian duo Casemiro and Matheus Cunha, giving the hosts a 2-goal cushion with strikes either side of half-time. But Fulham mounted a late comeback. Raul Jimenez pulled back a superb penalty 5 minutes from time, and then Kevin Santos levelled in the 91st minute with a thunderous finish. But the drama was not over. Just minutes later, United hit back as Sesko latched onto a Bruno Fernandes pass, turned sharply and drilled the winner into the top corner. Man United now move into the top 4 on 41 points. Elsewhere, Aston Villa missed their chance to close the gap on league leaders Arsenal after suffering a 1-0 home defeat to 10-man Brentford. At the other end of the table, 10-man Nottingham Forest held on for a point in a 1-0 draw with Crystal Palace. In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz has become the youngest man ever to complete a career Grand Slam after capturing the Australian Open title over Novak Djokovic at Melbourne Park on Sunday. The world number 1 from Spain dropped the opening set as Djokovic charged hard in pursuit of a record 25th major title. But Alcaraz showed remarkable resilience, battling back to claim a 2-6, 6-2, 6-3, 7-5 win. He secured the decisive break at 6-5 in the fourth set, sealing the match on his first championship point when Djokovic sent a forehand long. By denying Djokovic a record-extending Grand Slam triumph, the 22-year-old celebrated his 7th major title in a frenzied Rod Laver Arena, the same court where he was beaten by Djokovic in last year's quarterfinals.
My team over there in that in that corner, it's I think nobody knows how hard I've been working, in the to get this trophy. I just taste this moment, so much, appreciation that it was a little bit roller coaster emotionally, and we went through not hearing anything about what the people were saying before coming to Australia, and we just did the right work. You were pushing me every day to do all the right things. So I gotta say, I'm just really grateful for everyone I have in the corner right now. And then just as I said, this trophy is always it's always yours.
I think 21st year, maybe 22nd year coming to Australia. Honestly, I always believe in myself, and I think that is something that is truly needed and necessary when you're playing at this level against incredible players like Carlos and Yannick, obviously last 3 days. But I must be very honest and say that I didn't, think that I would be standing in a closing ceremony of a Grand Slam once again. So I think I owe you the gratitude as well for pushing me forward throughout the last couple of weeks.
And that is it for this edition of Africa Live. Remember, you can send your feedback to the contact on your screen and follow us on our digital media platform. Thank you for watching. I'm Beatrice Marshall in Nairobi. From me and the team here on Africa Live, good night.
When you open up the box, it first feels like they're singing to you. You just hear the start doing